Attention, the views expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofit. So without any further ado, it's time for the fun.
Can hardly wait. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Hour broadcast with old Dr. Paul and sweet Miss Nancy, my co-host. Today, a very special guest, Steve Pokin. He spends his time poking around for the Springfield News Leader, as well as one of the local broadcast outlets, Channel 27 and Channel 10 and whatever other channels they have. We're going to get to that in just a little bit and talk with Steve about some of the interesting places where he's been poking around to find out what's going on in my favorite little city, Springburg, USA. We're Springfield, Missouri. We're in the southwest quadrant of the state of Missouri. The state of Missouri is right in the middle of the United States of America. The United States of America is right in the middle of the world. So we're in the middle of the world. Want to be in the middle of your world right now. Hello, Shirley Simpson, my first secretary, way up there in St. Joseph, Missouri. Joetown, St. Joseph, home of the Pony Express, and the place where the dirty little coward shot Mr. Howard and laid poor Jesse in his grave. It's where Jesse James died. Wonderful little city. Visit it sometime. Shirley, tell all of our friends there hello, would you please? And talked to Shirley the other day. She's doing well. My first secretary. Wow. And still my favorite. Don't tell the others. Don't tell the others. And hello to Jerry Chambers over in Chesterfield, beautiful suburb of St. Louis, Missouri.
I think the technical term is for secretary now is executive assistant or something like that.
Right. I don't have a secretary anymore. I have a wife. I'm very thankful. and Chesterfield, Missouri, Jerry Chambers. He was a teenager in the church where I was pastor in St. Joe back many moons ago. And he's now a retired school administrator. So I was his pastor a long time ago. But he still remembers me, and I remember him. And hello, Jerry, and a hello to all your family and friends. Our friends up in northeast Missouri. We got Janie Wood up there and Lynn Purdy and other people. Tell them I said hello. And in Texas, in Bryant, Texas, which is really a part of College Station, which is the home of Texas A&M, as I recall. And Judy Nickel is there in Bryant, Texas. Hello, Judy. Judy's husband helped Nancy and me begin Acts Ministry Incorporated back in 1993, August of 93. That's been a few years ago. And her husband has found his place in heaven, and she moved back to her home state of Texas. Judy, hello to you. Tell all the friends down that way hello. We have a lot of friends in the Stephenville area. We have a lot of friends up in the
Lubbock area.
Yeah, up there on the rock. They call the Capstone. On the Capstone in Lubbock, the panhandle of Texas, and so forth. Anyway, friends in Texas, friends in Germany, Pakistan, South America, and vive la France. Il est très bonjour aujourd'hui, n'est-ce pas, mes amis? Glad to see and hear from the folks in France. All right, Steve Pokin. I've been waiting for this opportunity.
Wow.
Oh, boy. You have to get up early in the morning to beat Steve Pokin. He gets up early because I watched him this morning before 7 o'clock on Channel 27, local TV channel, which is a part of the conglomerate. They also have Channel 10. What else do they have? One more.
I think you're at 20. They have the Fox. What was the Fox affiliate?
The Fox affiliate. Channel 5 it would be the Fox affiliate too. Anyway, they are a busy place. And you've been doing this for a long time with these folks putting in that guest appearance. How long have you done that?
I think it's about 4 or 5 years.
And you're getting ready to switch. So don't watch for him next Friday. Watch for him next Wednesday.
Wednesday. I'm going to be on Wednesday morning. I'm not sure why, but they asked if I'd be willing to switch, and I said sure. So starting Wednesday of next week, same time, 6:45, same station, a different day.
So in the mornings, Steve doesn't get to roll over. He has to roll out.
I do.
and you know, being a journalist, early mornings are just kind of par for the course, aren't they?
They are. It's particularly. Also have a night shift. All the reporters have a night shift. So once a week, I come in late, come in noon, work to 8 or 9, and it's actually Thursday night is my night shift. So then I go home and then I get up. So this will work out a little bit better for me.
Well, I would think so. By the way, folks, just to clarify things, I watch him on television, but he is full-time employee of the Springfield News Leader. It's a newspaper, a daily, and he is a regular columnist. Now, what Steve does, his last name is Pokin, P-O-K-I-N, and he goes poking around and finds out answers to things that people may be curious about. The most recent show that you did this morning on Channel 27, you were poking around at Springfield's military cemeteries, I'll put it that way, veteran cemeteries.
There are two,
Right.
one at Glenstone and Seminole, one at the south end of town. And there's a local group that for several years has been putting holiday wreaths on all the headstones. And the first time they did it in 2013, they did 250. And there are 19,000 grave sites.
Oh my goodness.
So this year, for the first time, through a lot of volunteers and a lot of help from the Cook Company, Walmart, and College of the Ozarks, among others, they put a wreath on all 19,000 grave sites at both cemeteries. And in addition to that, they went out to some local cemeteries, such as Greenlawn, and put wreaths on the grave sites of some fallen police officers.
Matthew Dillon Pearson, our station manager and our engineer for the morning, is well acquainted with Idus Virtus. Yes. That's the name of that organization you're talking about.
Oh, how is that? I had never heard of that before. I had to look that up.
They've been friends of Axe Ministry for a while.
Yes, Robert Shawley, Shaw Dog.
Shaw Dog. He didn't tell me that.
Yeah, that's his motorcycle name.
Okay.
Those guys worked with Axe Ministry, and we worked with them a number of years ago at a car and motorcycle show to raise
Autism
money.
Awareness Extravaganza.
Yeah, and we raised money for veterans, I believe, or something. Anyway, Shaw Dog and his crew, they've been friends of Axe Ministry for a long time with Idus Virtus. That's the name of their group.
Yeah.
Plus, we want to note that there is Veterans Church up here at the office Thursday nights and every first and third Sunday from 2 to 4, but on Thursday nights it's from 6:30 to 7:30.
The office being right here.
Right here.
Right here.
Okay.
Right over here. Yes.
Right here in the Plaza Towers,
Televised even.
corner of Glenstone and Sunshine in Springburg, USA.
Do you know this is the first time I've been in this building?
Is that right?
Yeah, I lived
Well,
here 8 years. And
Now you're poking around in a new place.
yeah, exactly.
By the way, one of the members of Idus Virtus is a great handyman. He does work for us, electrical to plumbing to appliances, you name it.
Huh.
Very gifted guy, young guy. He's a member of Idus Virtus, and I hope that's coffee you're drinking.
It is. That's,
It's Italian.
it's.
Well, I thought maybe he was taking the happy hour
It's an Irish
seriously.
espresso.
You did say, yeah, it was happy hour. That's,
Happy hour.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Friday mornings are when I actually drink coffee.
So anyway, the last time that he was by our home to do some work, we had the telethon going on to raise money for Axe Media Group, and when we got ready to pay him, he said, "Here is my usual service call. Just take that money and give it to Axe Media Group on behalf of Idus Virtus and the Christmas Wreath Fund." So
Wow.
the tentacles of Axe Ministry reach out around the world, and we're one of Springfield's best kept secrets. So Here's my suggestion. You need to go poking around Acts Ministry.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I know why I'm here. Now I know why I'm here.
Well, no, that just came to me. I'd been wanting to interview you for a long time about some of these strange places you visit, but it just came to me. Since you poke around, we need to have you poking around Acts Ministry so that we're not the best kept secret anymore. We are over 26 years old. We're heading for 27, and we have a lot of good information that we dig around. I poke around. Greene County, which is the county in which Springburg, USA is located. Greene County is in debt, $121,817.77. How's that for poking around?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, guess what? Little old Dade County, $949.95 in debt.
Sorry.
And
It's a tiny
McDonald
county.
County, which is supposed to be the poorest county in Missouri, or at least it was considered that at one time, they are in debt $733,869.54.
Wow.
I got a whole list of all of Ozark Mountain Country right here.
Is this a fundraiser? Are we
No,
raising
no,
money
we're not-
for these
no, but if you
counties to
want-
get out of debt?
If you want to, well, we need to get these counties out of
Oh,
debt.
okay.
We need to get the municipalities out of debt. We need to get the nation out of debt. And
And also, when your opening remarks, you said hello to people in Pakistan.
that's right.
Are there people in Pakistan listening to this?
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah, you can say hello, Pakistan. Hello,
Mary
all
Gill-
you Pakistanis.
Mary Gill watches all the time in Pakistan. She's a Pakistani woman that teaches Bible to women and troubled children and feeds them and houses them. And
Can we hear you all right?
yeah, probably.
Okay.
Mary Gill is a Pakistani woman that teaches the Bible and stuff to women and children and houses them there in Pakistan.
Right.
How about Mongolia? Are there
Mongolia.
listeners in Mongolia?
Well, we don't know.
Okay.
Not yet, but
But,
we're working on that.
But I,
Okay.
I surmise somebody has their little old thing like so, and we're on it. We're on it. Now then, I want to tell you folks, seriously, you need to become a follower of Steve Pokin. I'm serious
I know
about
that's
this.
right. That's right.
And those of you who live outside of the Springfield area and you don't subscribe to the paper
Now,
or
when you
whatever.
say follower, since this is a religious show, you mean a reader of the column. I do not
Or a
have a
stalker.
ministry. I do not have a cult or anything like that. So please read the column, watch me on TV. That's what I'm looking for.
You're getting in my way.
No
I don't
Golden
really
State.
want to have a following.
You're getting in my way here. I'm trying to build you
Oh,
up.
all right.
If you live outside the Springfield area, outside the Springburg, USA area, and you don't subscribe to the Springfield News Leader,
Yeah.
which, by the way, used to be a part of Gannett. Did they sell it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's recent.
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually still called Gannett though. We got bought, and we're still called Gannett.
Okay. So anyway, they're for sale, obviously.
We've been sold. We're not for sale.
Oh,
we have been sold.
They've been sold.
Well,
Under contract.
If you
Well-
heard that we're for sale again, that's news to me, and it's not particularly good news.
Okay, now here's the thing.
You might need to do some poking around on it.
We can say
Yeah. My final column.
we can say that we've done some poking around and we found out that the Springfield News Leader and Gannett sold out.
Pocahontas,
Now that'd make headlines, wouldn't it?
Pocahontas.
Oh yes, ma'am. Miss Nancy's going to speak.
Oh no, I don't need to speak. I just behave.
Good
Okay.
luck, Nancy.
Seriously, folks, on the happy hour, I do want you to follow the writings and the telecast of Steve Pokin. The writings mainly because that even if you live in St. Joe, Missouri, you can go online and you can find the News Leader and find his columns. Very interesting stuff. Speaking of St. Joseph, Steve, I can well imagine what your life would be like if you lived in St. Joe working for the St. Joseph News
You
Gazette.
can. 'Cause I can't.
But
What would my life be like there?
Well, St. Joe's very historic.
Oh, okay.
Lots of-
Would I still be married to the same woman?
Well, yeah, she'd go along with you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, her denomination would be very popular in St. Joe.
Okay, United Church of Christ.
Hmm.
Okay.
And his wife, by the way, is an ordained clergy person in the United Church of Christ. So, that being cleared up, in St. Joe, there are all these interesting old buildings, some of the old traditions. They have the house there where Jesse James was straightening a picture on the wall and was shot in the back. They have that house
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And they have the Pony Express stables as a museum. All kinds of interesting things. Quaker Oats was big. They were the big. That was their home. And Stetson hats.
Were what? They were created there? Made there?
Made them.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, yeah. So St. Joe, and it had a very famous old hotel built by one of the founders of St. Joe. He was French, and the name of the hotel was the Ruby Doo.
Okay. So
And-
was there a Mr. Stetson? Is that
Yeah,
where
there
does
was a. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So you'd have fun poking around in St. Joe.
Okay.
But he's having a lot of fun poking around in Springfield. What's one of the most interesting stories that you've done about our little town, our little city?
I think it would probably be of a historical nature. And somebody sent in a question and said, do you know about the abduction of baby Keat? And I had no idea. I didn't know what they're talking about. And a lot of times people assume that I know far more than I do. And a lot of times when people say, well, and I'll say, I didn't know that. And they say, oh, I should have told you that sooner. I thought you knew that. Well, I don't, you know. I don't know until people tell me stuff.
Right.
So Baby Keat was a huge national story of I think it was a 14-month-old baby. I don't know, are you still baby at 14 months? I think so.
Yeah.
Sure.
Toddler. Was kidnapped. There was a Keat grocery store. If you go on South Street on one of the buildings, I think it's the Boogie up on the top. It's Keat Dry Goods, and he was a very wealthy family, and the baby was kidnapped, and they live in I think it's Meadowmere. The house is still there. Actually, the same house once was owned by much later by Billy Long, and the kidnapping was in 1917. They stole the baby, the young couple. They were out at an event at the country club and demanded ransom. I think it was $6,000. And they were told, the dad was told what to do, not to be followed. And they started on the square, and he drove for hours and hours. And he was kind of a bon vivant. It's unusual to have cars at that time.
Right.
He raced cars, so he went out by himself on a terrible, terrible, stormy, rainy night, followed all the clues, and they never met up. And he found out later from a letter that that well-meaning friends had followed him, and they saw that, and they didn't meet up. The money was not exchanged. And something went wrong. They were keeping the baby at an abandoned house. It was once a mansion. The name doesn't come to me. And the baby either got sick or they were trying to keep it quiet. They gave it some. They think it gave some laudanum, which I think is an opiate.
Yeah.
And for either the baby died first and then they put it in a cistern, or they put it in a cistern to hide it for a while. The long and short of it is the baby died. And there was such a outpouring of sentiment. And I was told that that was a huge story nationally, and it was only pushed off the front page by our involvement in World War I. And that house is still here, and there was just so much history that I had, and it's a sad, tragic story.
Right.
But that I found that so interesting, and he had the The baby was kidnapped, and he had an older brother, James Keat, who grew up to be a judge here in Greene County. And he lived a long, fruitful life.
Okay.
And then I found a descendant who lives in North Springfield, younger woman, and she was for a while caretaker of James Keat, and she had all this memorabilia, including letters of sympathy from across the nation when the baby was found dead. And as she was going through this to show me as a reporter, in a letter or something, there was a letter that somehow had never been opened. And so she opened it, and it was somebody in, I think it was Arkansas, so deepest condolences. And the odd thing is, back in the day where they didn't know how to, people from around the nation didn't know how to contact the Keat family, so where do they send their letters? They send it to the newspaper. So they went to the newspapers, and then the newspaper back then would give it to the, relay it to the family.
Wonderful story. With that, we'll come back to Mr. Poking Around in just a little bit. Matt, with your permission, I want to do the Natural Solution Store commercial.
I'll let you this time.
Because it's very personal. Natural Solution Store, Steve, is one of the sponsors of our show. And I should say broadcast, because even though it's a happy hour and we do put on a show, it's a broadcast. Natural Solution Store handles in the neighborhood of 50 natural products to contribute to the well-being of folks in various ways. One of the products that I have been convinced by my cardiologist and others that people need is CoQ10, especially
That's actually what I was going to talk about anyways.
especially if you
Say that again?
CoQ10.
CoQ10.
If
Okay.
you take on
CoQ10.
Yeah,
It's coenzyme Q10.
coenzyme Q10, if you take a statin drug, which is very hard on the heart, CoQ10 helps to counterbalance that. Well, it's true, Nancy.
Well, I know, but isn't it just like the world to give you something that's really opposite?
Yeah,
Rob
Or-
Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, that's it. Rob Peter, pay Paul.
yeah.
Health
Well, they
wise.
give you something to fix something, give you something to fix the fixer. Anyway, but the product that I'm really wanting to talk about this morning is the bomb. The
Super Hemp Balm.
Super Hemp Bomb. Hemp is all the rage right now. I noticed on television they have an advertisement for a shoulder support, and what makes it special is it's made out of hemp. They don't say that necessarily, but they do stress the fact that that hemp is in the is what the material is made out of for the shoulder brace. I want to talk about Super Hemp Bomb because of my experience with it. I have an old lower back injury from my days in St. Joe, by the way, and my neurologist, through a series of tests and x-rays, found that the reason I had pain lying on my left side in bed at night in my hip was because of a nerve being pinched in my lower back, and it goes down and I have the two smallest toes of my left foot are getting numb. And the neurologist found this. I was told that it's healthier to sleep on your left side. But I was really having trouble doing that because I just hurt so badly.
That's an understatement.
So
Why would that be? Why is it healthier to sleep on your left side?
I don't know.
All the
That's what
All the organs on the one side won't be pushing down on the other when you lay on your left side.
So anyway, that's what the doctors were saying. You know, sleep on your left side. So I was
That's
having
what I
trouble
do.
doing it. Anyway, when I finally suffered enough, I started remembering. Here's my jar. I meant to bring it today. A little jar, not so big, folks,
35 milliliter jar.
and about that deep. And it's the hemp bomb, Super Hemp Bomb. And when I remember, like I did last night, and rub it on that place on my hip and that lower back, that one spot, guess what? I can sleep on my left side all night long. Listen, I don't mind telling my age. I'm 84, closer to 85 than 84.
That's right.
I slept like in 10 minutes of 9 hours last night before I had to get up for obvious
And
reasons.
that almost never happens.
It never happens unless I use Super Hemp Balm. I also
Can I ask you a quick question?
yes,
Super hemp bomb or balm?
balm.
Balm.
Ask,
Oh.
ask your wife. It's like the balm of Gilead.
Oh, okay.
Your wife will know.
Okay.
Balm.
Yeah, I know what that, I know what that means. I know that biblical reference.
Okay.
You know, actually, I kind of like the name Super Hemp Bomb.
Okay,
kinda
well,
better.
we could call it, use the bomb
This
on your
is the
hip.
bomb, right?
The bomb, yeah.
Yeah, use the bomb.
How you feeling today? I feel great. I used the bomb.
Be from Chicago. Root for the Bears and use the bomb.
Yeah, use the bomb.
I also use it on my right knee, which is bone on bone, and would
Wow.
wake me up in the night hurting. Guess what? Super Hemp Balm really works for me.
Okay.
I've had one person, just so we can be fully open and honest here, I've had one person tell me that it did not help. But that person is in a condition that goes beyond most anything.
Jay and I both use Super Hemp Balm, and it works on. We wouldn't say that it works if we didn't know that it works, and it's amazing.
Well,
So
anyway,
am I the only person in the room who doesn't use Super Hemp Balm?
At this moment,
Probably.
yes.
Yeah.
so
Nancy?
anyway,
But you can fix that. Tell them how they can fix that, Doctor.
How do you
can
fix
it.
that, doctor?
You can go to naturalsolutionstore.bz. B is in boy, Z is in zebra. Just point and click, and you can purchase your very own little jar of Super Hemp Balm. Anyway, do go online, check out naturalsolutionstore.bz. You can access it directly that way, or you go to axmediagroup.com and you'll find a link there. And by the way, if you have problems affording natural solutions, there is a scholarship fund called the Helping Hands Fund. And if you don't need financial help, perhaps you could help someone else. Hit that button, Helping Hands Fund, make a contribution so that other people can enjoy the benefits of natural solutions. All right, having said that, back to our very special guest. And I say that sincerely, Steve. Honestly, I've wanted you on this show for a long time. We've had some very notable people, and you are among
Including
those.
D. Wampler.
Dee
I hear,
Wampler.
yeah.
We've had Bob Dixon, our
Oh, okay.
presiding commissioner. We've had Dr. Jonathan Clark, Family Medicine. He's an MD. We've had the owner of Cherry Health Center on West Battlefield. We've
Francine
had
Pratt.
Hmm?
Francine Pratt.
we've had Francine
okay.
Pratt, Lyle Foster, the other Dixon, Mark Dixon from Isabel's house and so forth. And
How about Brad Pitt? Has Brad Pitt been on here?
not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Next time he hits town,
All right.
he will go straight from the airport here.
You know why? Because he's going to want the bomb.
He's going to want the bomb.
But he doesn't want to say that if you're getting on an airplane. Don't say that if you're going to get on an airplane. They will take you down.
Don't use it. I meant bomb. I said bomb.
I
Not
got Super
bomb.
Hemp Balm in my bag. What? Balm in your bag?
Dr. Jim Whining, president of Acts Ministry. Hope you're having a good time because we are. And we've got a live one here, Dr. Jim.
Are these microphones on?
Yeah, they're
Oh
on.
my God.
They're on.
Oh my God. Can we start over?
No, we can't. There are no do-overs. This isn't golf. This is the bomb.
That's
We
not
may
a
have-
gimme.
We have to rename this show. It is the happy hour.
Huh?
And it's wonderful to have a happy hour in the middle of the morning
Yeah.
in Springburg, USA. Anyway, back to your neck of the woods, as Al Roker would say on the Today show on NBC. Your neck of the woods. Do you spend all of your news leader time checking out these stories to write that column each week? Is that what you do? Is that what you do all the time?
Pretty much. Yeah, I don't have any editing duties. I'm not an editor. I don't lay out the page. I'm a reporter, and it's poking around. And then I also write another column similar, but it's called The Answer Man. So I am also the Answer Man, where I take questions that run the gamut of topics, and I write that as well. And I said on Thursday nights, I work a late shift, and I'm the only reporter there. So that's in case something big happens.
Right.
You know, I wrote a story last night when I was working the late shift. So my late shift is, if I have time, I'm working on columns, but I'm there as the sole reporter in case something big happens. And the story I wrote last night, so on Thursday nights, a lot of times nothing big happens. But Thursday night, there was a report out of Sacramento, California, that a young man, 25 years old, Alexander Holden, has been missing since New Year's Eve. He went downtown Sacramento. He is the son of two Greene County judges. One is Circuit Judge Calvin Holden, and his mom is the two judges are divorced now. I had actually never heard of her name before, Margaret Palmietto.
Yes.
And fortunately, I was, and I saw it, and I wanted to confirm it. Like, and you know, has he already been, you know, is he already returned? Is this really legit? So there's no better way than I actually called Judge Holden. We, as a newspaper, happen to have his number.
Sure.
We have there's a repository of phone numbers there. And so I reached him, which was incredibly helpful, and he happened to be in, of all places, Australia on vacation. And he says, yeah, I'm concerned. He's not like this. I'm making arrangements as quickly as possible to leave here to get to Sacramento. So I do breaking news as well. Our staff is, not that big, so we all do a little bit of everything. We all
Right.
chip in.
I saw that story on TV News this morning about the Judge Holden's son and his former wife. Many years ago, Nancy and I were working very closely with the Missouri Department of Corrections and the criminal justice system in Missouri, trying to educate them as well as the public and on these matters of law enforcement and corrections, etc. I spent a lot of time with the director of the Department of Corrections at her invitation, Dr. Dora Scheriro, consulting with her. And about 1 or 2 Saturday mornings a month, I would have a breakfast meeting and bring in people who would be concerned. At that time, Darrell Moore, who was prosecuting attorney, Calvin Holden, another judge, and chief deputy for the Greene County Sheriffs, and this sort of thing. These people, we got them together, and we talked about the problem of the criminal justice system being made effective, and the Department of Corrections really being corrections rather than just punishment, and dealing with the recidivism rate, all that sort of thing. And Calvin Holden participated a time or two. It was interesting in that in one of those breakfast meetings they were cooperating. A Democrat who was a judge and a Republican who was a judge.
Wow, imagine that.
Their politics before they became judges, and they were cooperating, working with us. Acts Ministry tries to promote unity wherever we go. Our vision statement has always been unity in Christ through the Holy Spirit. And we've let that spread out even into our approach to the secular marketplace. it showed up for a few years. We had our own newspaper. It was called the Real News Review. The Real News Review.
Oh, there's a copy of it framed
Right.
in a room out there.
And we gave it away. It was 12 pages, full size, in color. We I don't know, we put out like 8,000 copies in Branson alone. You couldn't get off an airplane at Kansas City International without finding it, or go to a hotel in that immediate area without finding our newspaper. We, under the leadership of Dr. Wining, they eventually took the newspaper and put it online, so it continues online as the Real News Review. And of course, as you know, people can get the Springfield News Leader online. I catch the headlines every morning. I caught the headlines this morning on my computer and that sort of thing. Anyway, having said that, in our experience, I've always loved newspapers.
Yeah.
I like to read. I like to write. I wrote this book in 2005.
And for those who might want to actually look at the newspaper, I know this question is out there. It's www.news-leader.com.
That's right. News-leader.
Not dash. We don't want a dash.
No.
We don't want an under thing. We want a hyphen.
No underscores. Hyphen.
No, actually, with it, I'll interrupt for just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is another news leader within the Gannett chain. I believe it's in North Carolina.
Oh.
And so the hyphen is important because I attend Brentwood Christian Church, and I'm good friends with my pastor is Phil Snyder, and there's good friends with the associate pastor, Emily Bowen Marler, as well. But one day, Phil sent me a message saying, "You guys got the weather all mixed up here. What's going on? You guys know what you're doing there?" And sure enough, he was looking at the weather in North Carolina, and boy, did I have fun with that. I said, "Phil, you know how long have you been looking at the wrong newspaper? And did you not notice that there was no poking around or answer man, and you didn't care?" So remember that hyphen.
Yeah, remember that. And every time you think of the hyphen, remember Snyder. Poor Phil Snyder. He got it wrong.
What is the whole thing again?
News-leader.com.
Anyway, the Real News Review, Real News-Review
There you go.
is online. I wrote this book, Embraced by the Spirit, and I have sat here hurriedly before the broadcast came on, wrote in it to give to you in case
thank you.
I become famous and then die. That'll be worth a lot of money. Well, you know, don't laugh, Festus. It's true. For it is appointed unto man once to die, and so when I'm gone, if I'm famous,
Wow.
well, you know, David.
Well,
will.
can you hurry up and be not die, but
Hurry up
become
and get
famous? Well,
famous.
you sound like you're pretty famous already.
Well,
The more I
He just wants
sit
to sell
here,
it on eBay.
the more people. Yeah, because I do have a lot of bills to pay.
Okay.
And if this
Okay.
can help
Well-
me out.
Help him pay his bills, Dr. Paul.
Huh?
Help him pay his bills.
I'm trying.
All you
I'm
got
trying
to
to
do is
build
be
him
famous and not die. Is
I'm
that so
trying
hard
to build
to
him
ask?
a following. Go ahead, Nancy.
Getting deep. I got my feet up.
She's got her feet
This
up.
guest has a tendency of bringing out the craziness in all of us today.
How
That's
many of
great.
us could sit there and put their feet up against a table in front? I'm too stiff to do that.
So are people actually going to see what she just did?
Do that again.
I'm still confused. So
that
we're going to
again.
be. This is streamed. The video is streamed.
Yeah, that's live.
All right. Yeah.
Look at
She's
that.
just got her feet sticking up between the two
It's a foul
tables
plot afoot.
because it's getting so deep in here.
Can I
Yes.
pick them or can I pick them?
We need to just start giving our guests and everybody galoshes. Galoshes.
No, we need to have waders chest high, all the way up to here.
Fishing waders.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, you all are really messing with my routine, you know.
Where is my waiter? I could use another drink.
I think I got an extra in the car.
You're not a trout fisherman, are you?
No. I'd be a great fisherman, except I never catch fish.
So you'd be a great
Well,
fisherman.
you don't have to be a great catcher, just a great fisherman.
Oh, okay. Oh, all
There is
right.
a difference, you know.
Oh,
No, I'm
It's all the experience, the,
I'm a
the
trout
How else can you
process.
drink beer and fall asleep and call it a sport?
I do that at work.
Well, I'm a good trout fisherman. I'm a good fly fisherman, and I say that in all due humility. If there's anything I'm proud of, it's my humility. and I am a great trout fisherman.
Is that your
But I
second
have-
book? Was that your second book? If
No,
there are any
I'm
things
a-
I'm
I'm
proud of, it's my great
I'm a
humility.
fair writer, but a great trout fisherman.
Oh.
That should be a book that he should write.
But I also edit books for others and get them printed for them. And this is out in softcover and hardcover simultaneously. The Personal Side of God, subtitled The Holy Spirit Speaks to a Businessman, written by Gene Bicknell, Pittsburgh, Kansas native. He now lives in Florida, and quite an entrepreneur. I'm going to give that to you. I didn't sign it
Oh,
because I didn't
wow.
write it, but I did put it together.
Well, thank you.
So there you have some reading on those dull Thursday nights,
Okay.
because I'm
Thanks.
sure there are some that could be a little dull
Yeah.
on Thursday nights. Yes.
Find out what else Steve has written about, looked into, so forth and so
Well,
forth.
I'm just getting to that. I want to
Thank
ask
you,
you more
Jesus.
about that little lake. Bodies of water in Springfield or the area
Yeah.
always interest me. And I think it was just about a week ago you did
Yeah.
one about a little lake, and they're gradually trying to fill it in, and somebody said they'll never get it filled and so forth. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was an answer man question from a person who this probably the better word is pond. It's a small
Yes.
pond off of it's not coming to me, but on the northeast side of Springfield.
Division.
Yeah, it was Division. You read it?
No, Dad used to drive by that to go to work every day, and at first it looked like a runoff or something. And
Yeah.
They say it's like almost bottomless.
So
Very
a guy who I think he's in his 70s, young man. Remember, lived in the neighborhood and was a boy. Rode his bike there, fished there, played there. Fond memories. And he says, and it's still there. I never knew who owned it, but it's just it'd be kind of interesting to find out what's like maybe at the bottom of the lake, if bikes or whatever.
Right.
So I, what did he say? People? Did he say people?
Try to say that quietly.
We could solve a lot of cold cases. Jeez. So I drove by, and it was still there. It was fenced off, and I, as I often do, I knock on doors, and it's kind of it's not. He remembers it much more fondly than it is today. It's all got algae on it, and it's and the new owner is built some homes. He digs a lot of dirt, and he's using it to fill, and so it's slowly going away, and it's not the nice. 30 years ago, it was connected to the adjoining property. The owner kept it like he had a little rowboat out there. The kids could go out there and play. He planted flowers, and it was a showcase. It's not that anymore, but it is still there. And one of the neighbors, been there 30 years, 35 years, said he's never going to be able to fill it because there's several natural springs there. So that's pretty much the story.
I found it very interesting. The photo that you had showed a little dock and a boat in the background,
Yeah.
and which is like a reminder that at one time, that if it's a big pond, small lake, big pond.
Big pile, okay.
It played an important role in somebody's life, obviously.
Oh, sure, I'm sure a lot of kids.
Didn't you do a story, a couple of years ago about an amusement park in this area?
I did, yeah. That was right off of, I think, right behind Kearney. It was a laser tag. It was amusement. There were batting cages. It was all
Behind the
old-
Dairy Queen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, how do you know that?
My son had his 10th birthday party at that laser tag place back there, and they had paintball,
Yeah.
batting cages, and all that stuff.
Wow. So it was. I'm trying to remember the story. So it was up and running. Your son. You don't look that old.
He's 17.
Well, how old are you?
I'm 39. I'll be 40 in
Yeah,
July.
him and Jack Benny. Remember Jack Benny?
I do. 39. Yeah.
Yeah, 39
We fat
forever.
people look younger because we're too fat to have wrinkles.
Oh, I'm glad we have.
I didn't know that either.
I'm glad we have television.
That doesn't help with the gray coming in on my beard, though,
Hey, you got something against
or
gray?
the hair lost on my head.
He wears the cap
distinguishing.
for a purpose. You know.
Well, Paul and I have. I think we're
I
beyond
think
gray.
you and Dr. Paul go to the same stylist and use the same hair dye.
We do.
Yeah,
see that.
we
wouldn't call that gray.
I've
I'd call it
dyed my
platinum.
hair. I think it makes me look much more distinguished and
Yes.
knowledgeable.
Wise.
Yeah. Thank
we
you.
Now all you need is a longer beard.
we go to
Dr. Paul
this
don't
we
like
go to
beards.
the same fount of wisdom.
Yeah.
There you go. Where are you from, Steve?
Chicago.
Oh, well, that's why you know about the Bears and the bomb.
Yeah. I know about the Bears.
I
The
was
Bears.
telling
Yeah.
Nancy the other day, Chicago. I'm sorry that it has so many murders, but Chicago is a great city.
It's beautiful.
I had some good memories of Chicago.
Did you ever live there?
No, but
That's why I
as a visitor, I had great memories. I was there one time when my oldest son, who by the way is 64, he was a toddler,
Wow.
and we went out with a great uncle of his on a small yacht on Lake Michigan, and we cruised up the shoreline for kind of a long ways, then went out into the lake, far enough out that I remember we passed this huge pile of boulders that had like a lighthouse, but not a lighthouse, had like a power plant on it,
Uh huh.
lights all over the place. We went way out there, and he went down in the hole, left me steering the boat. And it's dark, and I'm fighting these ground swells.
So you're out in is it a sailboat or a
No, it's a motorized
motorboat in
yeah.
the dark?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he said just always keep the Chicago skyline in sight, and I could do that. And then he said, headed for the shore, and he was down below, and here comes this big ore ship. Those things are huge.
Okay.
They're big vessels, and it's on one side out toward in the bigger part of the Lake Michigan, which is an inland sea,
Yeah.
and
Well, I think you got to be pretty far out in the lake for
Oh,
there
yeah.
to be an or.
oh yeah, we're way out there.
Or as an ORE.
ORE,
They just
right.
didn't have like big oars.
Yeah. Well, it would take big oars to move that big oar boat.
Yeah, it would.
And
Either or.
and here's this boulder island, and I'm trying to make up my mind which direction to go. I don't want to hit the oar boat, and I don't
Oh,
want to.
man.
And I knew
I'm
that.
hooked. I'm hooked on this story.
I knew
I know
that.
you survived.
And here's all these boulders, and I know they're out further in the water than I can see. So I'm in this intense decision-making mode. Now, I was very young.
How old are you again?
I was like 24,
Okay.
or I was really young,
They
and I'm
haven't
trying
invented
to.
the street light yet.
I'm trying to make. I was 24 once. Yeah, I'm almost to be 24 twice. Just keep at it, Joe. 124. Anyway, I'm in this. I'm really serious. I'm fighting these ground swells, trying to steer this boat, make up my mind which way to go, and to my great relief, the guy that owned the boat, the great uncle, he comes walking up to the pilot area and said, "Would you like me to take over now?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so." So anyway, I was there one time later as a special delegate on behalf of the Methodist Church
In Chicago.
in Chicago for a big evangelistic thing at the Hilton Hotel.
Okay.
And I was there a third time, another time when I was The old Pacific Garden Mission was still operating on South State Street.
Yeah, you know, my father used to go down there and volunteer.
And they used to have a radio program
Yeah.
every day, Monday through Friday, late at night. It was testimonies of men who'd been alcoholics
Yeah.
who'd wandered in. They had a guy standing on the street handing out little religious tracts and inviting these guys in. And they had at the back of this room, they had what they called the bullpen. Had a little railing around it. That's where the guys who were still very intoxicated, just right off the street, would sit. And then others up to toward the front. I heard a guy speak. Now, Jason, you'll appreciate this. He was pastor of a very successful independent Baptist church in Arizona. He had 600 people on Sunday morning and 600 on Sunday night. Now, back then, that was like a mega church.
Yeah, that's a lot.
6 years before, just 6 years before, he was eating out of the garbage cans behind the Hilton Hotel. He wandered into the Pacific Garden Mission, highly intoxicated, with the promise that he'd get a meal. If he sat through the service, he'd get a meal and a bed. And the rest, as they say, was history. 6 years later, he's back as the guest speaker, pastor of this very large independent Baptist church with his testimony. I'll never forget it. And I could hear these very intoxicated men behind me jumping up and shouting hallelujah and one thing and another. And he knew what to do. They gave us a tour of that facility upstairs, the sleeping quarters of the men, and showed us how they deloused the men. That was a big operation. And I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was on South State Street, which was known as Skid Row. So you being an old Chicagoan, you at least have some knowledge that the Pacific Garden Mission at one time existed.
I do. And as I mentioned, my father would go down there, usually with a couple people from the churches. He was Southern Baptist, very conservative in his religious views, far more conservative than I am. He would go down there and volunteer.
By the way, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, there will be visitation beginning from 1 until 3 in a church in Republic, Missouri, called Live Church, L-I-V-E, Live Church, followed by a memorial service at 3 o'clock for Dennis Code. Last week on this show, Steve, because Dennis had just passed, he's now been gone. Tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks. Dennis, last week, out of deference to his passing, we didn't have our theme music. It was a more solemn show. Dennis was an ordained Acts Ministry minister. In his obituary, it will tell that he was an ex-offender. He spent 10 years in prison in Kansas. Dennis, through a television ministry, gave his heart and his life to Jesus Christ and immediately took up the cross. He built a cross that he carried on his shoulder, dragging the sidewalks on Commercial Street in Springfield a number of years ago, and he witnessed to the homeless and to those who were intoxicated. Back then, you know, there were quite a few of those on the street, as they called it. Dennis and his wife also started feeding the homeless in Jenny Lincoln Park, and did all these magnificent things. Then he acquired the use of a piece of property between Republic and Billings and started taking in the homeless, giving them a place to live. And at the time of his passing, have several men there who were just recently released from Fordland Correctional Center, just east of Springfield here. They were living behind the wire, minimum security. And Dennis prayed for the sick, and they were healed.
Yeah.
Saw people instantly healed. Lots of witnesses to it. And yet, he became very ill with pneumonia, put off going to the doctor, had to be taken by emergency conveyance to Mercy Hospital here in Springfield. And that was on a Thursday evening. On Saturday, 2 weeks ago tomorrow,
Was that Mercy or Cox?
Mercy. It's a little before 4 o'clock. He passed from cardiac arrest. At the time of his passing, he was immobilized while they were doing all the treatment on him and so forth. Great man, only 66 years of age, did a great work, very reminiscent of Pacific Garden Mission, right here in Springfield. The ministry officially known as Crosswalk Journey, because he was carrying the cross as he walked on his journey. And the place where they have former inmates housed and where they help them get jobs and so forth is called Crosswalk of Hope. Great legacy left by a great man who found his calling late in life, actually, very late in life. And so tomorrow in Republic, Missouri, Live Church, which is just east of Highway 60, there, and as you go into Republic from Springfield. 1 to 3 visitation. At 3 o'clock, I will be leading the memorial service honoring our friend Dennis Code. Well, we have no time at all. Steve, thank you. Will you come back and do this again? Dan Prater, I know you know Dan Prater.
Yeah.
Dan, he came 3 times. Dee Wampler came twice. Dr. Philip Lloyd came 3 times. Dr. Clark came twice.
Wow.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
Wow.
When you're invited back, that means you were a success.
Wow.
So I'll be calling you to do this again.
Okay.
And it'll always be fun. And
Yeah, I've enjoyed this.
all right, here's my famous slow close. In spite of the time, going to do my slow close.
Yeah, it's pointless to try.
Why is your wife shaking her head when you say that?
Well, because
Just let him find
my
out.
poetry is so bad.
Oh, this is going to be poetry.
Yeah, this has been the Happy Hour broadcast with old Dr. Paul and sweet Miss Nancy, our special guest, Steve Polkin. Yes, it's the Happy Hour. It is the friendliest show on radio, the best look on Facebook. It is for every rube to watch on YouTube, and everybody that sees it on Twitter, they get
A flitter.
they become a glitter. So that's it. See you next week, folks. Same time right here for the Happy Hour. Bye-bye.